Hello and welcome back to DriveDriverDriven. I'm Humble and we're back on the Zero project again today. I've got one quick update and then we're going to get on to the brakes. But first, I just wanted to talk about kind of what's going on in California in our area right now. We had a giant thunderstorm, which is very atypical for California, blow through, and it sparked off nearly 400 fires across the state. Now here we are about a week later and it's burned nearly 1 million acres, and it's really hitting close to home. I have friends and coworkers affected by all three major complex fires in the SF Bay Area. A house that I had lived in for 10 years up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and that community, the communities of Boulder Creek, Ben Lomond, and Felton, and even Scotts Valley are either burning as we speak or under direct threat. And I think all of them have been evacuated because of those fires. Many friends have lost houses, and anything you can do to support those folks, if you're local, please do, especially if they have animals, pets, anything like that. They will need all the help they can get for quite some time. Back on the car, I wanted to go over, finally, now that I have the parts, I wanted to go over my solution for the smog requirements. Now with kit cars or any car that follows the SB 100 or smog exemption status in California, there's only one thing that you need, and that is a PCV, a working PCV system. And that means you have to vent the block and or the valve cover to the behind the throttle of the throttle plate or the throttle body, so that it's under vacuum and it recirculates those gases inside the block when you're decelerating or engine braking or things like that, and rather than venting to atmosphere. A lot of people who have problems getting through the one ref inspection that you have to do in California often try to cheat this system via one method or another. My particular setup makes this a little difficult because I'm using ITBs. So I'll show you sort of our solution for it. So I've showed you this part before, and this is the injector plug. Normally you have an O-ring that fits here and it just pops into the port and it leaves this nice flush surface. Well, I worked with my friend Sean, and he designed these parts up and then had them farmed out and made up in this thermoplastic, which is similar to what you would find of bumpers or valve covers, that kind of high temperature plastic material. And same thing, it has an O-ring boss and a 3/8 nipple that comes off the top of it. This is an extra one so I could demonstrate to you guys. But if we come around here, you can see the solution. So basically we have this 3/8 hose that goes down to each port. So you have a common sort of vacuum log that is pulled by this hose, and then it's going to come off the back and loop around under the ITBs and then come forward to this output, I guess you could say, from the breather can. And then this line and this line goes up to our valve cover here, and then this line goes underneath to our PCV. The one thing not shown here is a one-way valve that will go in line so that only vacuum can be drawn by these lines, which will help maintain the vacuum inside the case, which somewhat improves efficiency and that sort of thing. Not like a dry sump system, but it's better than nothing. The difficulty with the setup is because ITBs and the throttle plate is so low in these barrels, there's not really a place where I can get a good vacuum signal or put a plate in between or anything like that. But by using the old injector ports with these adapters that Sean designed up, it's really a fire and forget solution, and kind of elegant in its own right. The only thing is I wish it wasn't a white plastic, but I'll take what I can get right now so we can get the car on the road. So that's it as far as the emissions system goes. And that was really the last piece that was preventing us from getting the engine started. The ITBs are still loose here, mainly because I didn't want to install those yet because I'm going to need to get under this rail to work on the brakes. And that brings us to our next bit. So I have all of the parts now for the braking system. You can see our 90-degree adapters, our hose, and then various other fittings and adapters that will go out to our corners. So this will go out to our brake lines at each corner. And that's today's project, is we're going to try and get the brakes wrapped up, get all the lines remade and redone, and we'll see how far we can get through that process. So I've got the intake final mounted on the car. I wasn't sure if I showed that previously. Since I've redone the brake lines on the front of the car now, I wanted to get the intake finally put on. Biggest problem I had was the O-rings that came with the intake were too large. So I had to go and find O-rings that were the right size. I had to get those shipped in, and then I could finally get the intake put on. But now the ITBs are final mounted, the filter's in place. I'm not quite sure I'm happy with the routing of the throttle cable here because it takes the sharp bend downward. So I might reroute it so it comes up and over the top of the trumpets, kind of back down under here behind the plate, or the filter plate, and then around the bottom, and then meets up down here below. But otherwise, I really like the way this looks. It with the ITBs and everything here on top, it goes somewhat far to hide some of the busyness that's down here to get this kind of out of sight and out of mind. Taking a step back, I cleared off the shelf back here. The bottle's loose, don't worry about that, but the kind of goal for the engine bay was a sort of wire tucked look, or as clean as I could possibly get it. And I think I'm about 80% happy with how this turned out. Some things you just are difficult to hide, like my solution for the smog requirement here for PCV Again, down here for the PCV system, although the nose will sort of come up to here and hide this area. I am happy with how this braided line turned out using the factory piece. I just wish there was a better kind of solution to get it under here, but again, with the nose cone on, it'll hide pretty much from here forward. I am happy with how the battery's tucked away, our overflow tank is tucked away, and how this shelf here is relatively clean and empty. And I really like the way that turned out. On to the brakes. So I've redone our front lines. So these are the factory brake lines, and these were okay. But if we look just inside here, there's this black braided line. It's this stuff here. So this is a ptfe with a braided stainless cover, and then a nylon cover on top of that as an anti-abrasion material. And that's what I used for the rest of the brake system. These go out to the corners, but then from inboard all the way up to the master cylinder, all those lines have been redone with this soft line, so to speak. In the back, if we look kind of in the trunk area, it's hard to see, but I had to replace our brass tee with this AN3T because the brass tee's stuck there. I can't remove it. It was over tightened, and it stripped out the nutsert in the chassis, so it lives there now. And then this will be secured to this kind of crossbar piece so it doesn't rattle around. But otherwise, the brakes are bled. However, the pedal is still on the soft side. I think that has more to do with the caliper sizing than anything. I'm going to go through and attempt to re-bleed the brakes with a pressure or a vacuum bleeder, one way or the other, just for verification. But I believe that the master cylinder is actually too small to push these larger 4-pod calipers and then the larger brake calipers in the rear. So this is a stock NA Miata master cylinder. I can't remember the size offhand, but there is a one size larger available through, well, actually many sites. I might do that upgrade just to push a little more fluid. Other than that, kind of next step is to button up under the dash area and finalize all this wiring down here and get that put together for the last time. And soon enough, now that the engine's all put together, I need some 1/2-inch hose to go from the end of this guy and then back up to that tank. Once that's sealed, we're ready for our first fire, and I can't wait. So it's been about a month or so since California has been on fire. Northern California, Southern California. There most recently was the yet another gender reveal fire that sparked a massive wildfire. Now other storms have sparked fires up north, from Northern California up and into Oregon. The smoke is so thick and up in the upper atmosphere that you probably saw some of it while I was swinging the camera around. So in here, this is kind of a neutral white light in the garage. But if I spin this camera around and we look outside, I'm not sure how well this shows up, but it's kind of dark and sepia. There's ash fall all over Normally I would go out riding during the day, but the ash particulate in the air has been falling all day. You can actually taste it in the air. It's I don't know, it's weird. It's hard to explain, but it's very, very fine ash particulate, and it just I don't know, the air's dusty or dry, especially dry. So it's just not a good time to be outside, and so I haven't been, which means no work in the garage and no work on the cars. But I wanted to get this video done and updated just to kind of show you guys what's going on and just how crazy it is here. But soon enough, hopefully in the next video, we'll get the engine started and we'll finally get to hear this thing make some noise. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.